Hello, everyone. Did you enjoy your lunch? It was very delicious. My name is Paulina, and I code and lead two teams at Odrabiamy, which is a Polish educational company. And if you are like me, you probably had a situation in your work life that you looked at a line in your code base, a function, a React component, and you thought, oh gosh, who did this? So you ran git blame, and it turned out it was you, 6 months before. So you decided to refactor this, and of course you did. But 6 months later, 6 months later, it was bad again. This is how you enter the refactoring loop. It seems a trap, a dead end, but it can be managed and survived. And in order to understand it better, let's take a look at some of the rules it is governed by. So the first rule is that you actually never stop rewriting. This is basically what makes it a loop. Every decision you make may turn out to be a bad one because of some business issues, like, for example, you store some information about your user preferences in local storage, but then business comes and you have to rewrite it to sync it between different devices. Or because of some tech reasons. Libraries get outdated, they get updated, some of them die, some of them are born. And in order to illustrate this, I would like to share an example from my previous company. It was, I think, like 5 or 6 years ago, and we were asked to build an app that, based on some CSV input, would generate thousands of static websites. And it would work like this. The end user would enter a search query in a search engine, and we were supposed to have a static website tailored specifically for that query. And back at that time, static site generation was not that popular, and we didn't really know which tool to use. We considered Next.js, Gatsby, which probably most of you know, and something I don't really think a lot of you heard about. It was React Static. And none of us knew GraphQL, so we didn't want to go for Gatsby. Next.js, yes, but it seemed a little too overcomplicated for our needs, so we went with React Static. And this graph is an NPM trends graph, and it shows the point in time where we took the decision. And you can see that back at that time, all of those libraries were like similar in popularity, more or less. But then Next.js just took off and took the whole stage. And we didn't know this at that time. And we made a decision that we thought was a good one, but from the time perspective, it wasn't really that good. If the project was successful, which it wasn't, we would probably have to rewrite it. The second rule is that refactoring is very profitable. As developers, we always want to use a shiny new technology. We want to rename our whole functionality. We want to remove some duplicated code. But business, they don't really care, unless there is some security issue at stake. For example, there is a data breach that could lead to loss of money, lawsuits, loss of reputation, or a performance issue because of which your app works really slowly at checkout, so users just drop off and don't buy your product. Or a compliance issue. Sometimes non-compliance with GDPR or accessibility rules might mean fines, so again, loss of money. A scalability issue or an outage. Imagine your app works for 1,000 users but stops working for 100,000. Or finally, some cost savings, like your business receives a bill from AWS that definitely exceeds any expectations, and they just want you to do something about it. The third thing is that refactoring isn't magic. It's like moving apartments. You think you will get rid of the junk, but you just carry the same boxes from one place to another. And you have to prepare for mistakes. And what your better version that you think it is today, tomorrow can be a legacy. And this is because actually you are the same team with the same mindset, probably a little bit of more expertise, but you just rewrite something to a new code, and it may turn out that you recreate similar mistakes. The second thing is that in the old legacy code, there could be bugs, but you understood them. And when you create something new, you just open a whole new box of mysteries, which of course brings its own problems. The third thing is that the environment keeps changing. Like I said before, there are new libraries emerging, and sometimes you might feel like, oh yeah, I will use this new thing everyone is using now. So you start using it, and by the end, you stop rewriting its legacy already. So yeah. And finally, rewrites are most often partial. It's rarely the case that you rewrite the whole application. Usually these are only small bits, and you end up with a hybrid between the old and the new one, which of course brings its own problems. And again, I would like to share a case from my current company. When I joined it, we had a custom server-side React application. Our website was written in like custom server-side React with class components and all the legacy stuff. And we were just starting to rewrite it to Next.js with Pages router, of course, because it was like 4 years ago. And my friend then, he said something like, yeah, great, we will have a chance to create our own mess. Well, and this is what happened, because today we are rewriting it again, this time to Uprooter. As you can see, this comes with a whole new rebranding, because we took the opportunity of rebranding to rewrite the app to Uprooter, and we just decided to do it from scratch, like everything from the very beginning, because it seemed easier for us than just to rewrite some small bits within the same repository, having like Pages and Uprooter. And the fourth rule is that rewriting can actually be a part of the plan. So you can have a situation that you just want to prototype, and you don't really know if the project will sell or not. You don't have unit tests, I don't know, you vibe coded, I didn't say that, whatever, but you know that you will have to rewrite if it's successful. Of course, there might be changing requirements that you already know about, but you don't know how they will change. So in these situations, you basically know that you will rewrite, you just don't know how. All of this seems difficult, like maybe not worth it, but it actually cannot be avoided. It can be survived, though. And in order to survive it, you have to refactor all the time. You can use the Boy Scout rule, where you should leave the code better than you found it, as Uncle Bob promoted this rule. So basically, you just, whenever you do something in your code base, work on a feature, whatever, you use the chance to refactor a tiny little bit around the new feature. And you have to stay in the loop. If you do, you have a chance to catch up with all the changing requirements. But if you don't, you'll just get thrown out. You have to own the code, because you are the experts in technology. You know what's important. You know when this or that part will blow up in some huge performance issue. So you have the influence. You have to influence business. And how to do it? You should plan every tech debt work you have, starting with just regular tech tasks. Treat every tech work as a regular task in order to create visibility and show that you actually work on something. You can use the 20% rule, in which you allocate 20% of your sprint or 10% or whatever the percentage is to working on handling tech debt. Sometimes it's not possible to do that, or it's not really profitable to do it, because, for example, you have a project ongoing that could mean a huge money gain for your company. So you just focus on delivering it. But then you can agree with business that after you deliver it, you will just have a whole tech sprint devoted to addressing all the legacy code that accumulated. And finally, talk to your teammates. If you do, you have a chance to share your concerns, talk about what's uncomfortable for you, what's fishy. This way, you see that it's not only you that doesn't feel really comfortable about this and that part. Also, then you can insist on business together and you have like more leverage. And remember that code age is fast, but the apps it powers need to live. And you are the one responsible for keeping them in good shape. Thank you.